This week's episode is on my most recently visited national park, Hot Springs in Arkansas. I have my Hot Springs National Park t-shirt on, and I didn't realize just how beautiful the state of Arkansas was until I just spent 2.5 weeks there. It is super green, there's a lot of state parks, beautiful trails, and hundreds of waterfalls. Now, Hot Springs National Park and the town of Hot Springs are located just southwest of the capital of Little Rock. This is the first park I've been to where it technically encompasses the downtown city area as well as the wilderness around it. The first permanent settlers arrived in Hot Springs in 1807 and quickly realized the health benefits of the 47 natural hot springs. By the 1830s, they had built cabins and a store to serve their visitors. Hot Springs became a reservation in 1832 to help preserve the springs, which is the first time the federal government set aside land for its natural features. I mean, the National Park Service wasn't established for 84 more years. The town of Hot Springs has a super adorable historic street, Central Avenue, with lots of thermal bathhouses, shops, and places to eat. You could probably fit a hike and exploring downtown in one day, yet I'd recommend giving it 2 or 3 days here. We stayed at the Gulfa Gorge Campground inside the park on the eastern side. It has smaller sites that I'm used to, yet it's very convenient. There's one trailhead right there at the campground that leads to several trails. And because I bring my motorhome with no spare vehicle, it's always very nice to just park, set up, and stay parked there for a few days. I could actually take a trail right from there into historic Hot Springs. I don't have to detach everything and pack up just to go out during the day, return back at night just to repark and set back up. And Uber and Lyft will also pick up and drop you off at the campground too, FYI. Now, all of the trails I did in Hot Springs National Park started at the campground. The trailhead there by the amphitheater is for the Gulfa Gorge Trail, which is the one with white markers. You must do a portion or all of that Gulfa Gorge Trail in order to get to the other trailheads. It's only 0.7 miles from one end to the other, yet it's fairly steep with a 383-foot elevation gain, so All Trails has marked it moderate, not just easy. If you have any mobility issues, you definitely want to go slow going downhill. After doing that descent several times, my knees ached for a bit. The trails are pretty well marked here, especially since there's several that overlapped or connect together. I did Goat Rock Trail with the dogs on a Saturday morning. It is a really great 2.3-mile hike starting from the campground. There were some really pretty views. We walked along the ridge at the top of a mountain, and the path definitely gets steep at points, yet it's not that difficult. We saw plenty of squirrels, lizards, and spooked some deer. Then later that day, I walked the 1.7-mile Otrel Trail. I think I'm saying that right. It's Oetrel. I did that one by myself to downtown historic Hot Springs. So the dogs could stay plugged into electric in the RV with AC, and I could go watch some football. Now, it's 1.7 miles and it's pretty shaded. It's pretty nice and easy and flat. However, it took me 35 minutes going 3.2 miles an hour. Most people may not choose to hike that quickly, so it will be closer to a 45-minute walk to get downtown. It spits you out right in the middle of downtown on Bathhouse Row. Bathhouse Row consists of 8 bathhouses built between 1892 and 1923. 2 of those are still operating to this day, the Buckstaff and the Quapaw, where you can soak, have a spa day, get massages, etc. I watched the game at the Copper Penny Irish Pub, which was really cool because Georgia Tech and FSU were playing in Ireland at the time. And then I walked downtown looking at some shops. There's also the Superior Bathhouse Brewery where you can grab a pint or a flight and sit inside the preserved 1916 building or out in their beer garden with the water misters to keep you cool. This is the only brewery in a national park and the only one that uses thermal spring water in their beer. Definitely check out the Fortis building. It's the largest bathhouse with 3 floors and 2 courtyards. It's now the park's visitor center, and you can do a self-guided tour and learn all about how the bathhouses used to work. You can see the locker rooms, the cooling rooms, the spa, massage rooms, where you could go and just decompress and get dressed later on, and what the lounges look like for both men and women. They even have the old-timey gym equipment in the men's gymnasium. That was definitely worth a visit, even if you only spend like 30 minutes there. And visit the Lamar building a few buildings down for the gift shop. Sunday morning, we did the Hot Springs Mountain Trail first thing in the morning before it got too hot and humid. And even starting at 7:30 a.m. might have been too late in August. It's a 3-mile lollipop trail from the campground. You start up the same zigzag Gulfa Gorge trail from the campground and come to where there's several trailheads in a parking lot along the drive that leads to a lookout point. You can see where a fire had previously impacted the mountain. That's why there's the fire watchtower along that trail as well. I ran into a few other hikers, and it always reminds me how incredibly friendly and cool outdoorsy people are. Whether on trail or at the campground, everyone's just really kind. Now, closer to the top of the mountain, there's a great picnic area and bathrooms where a few of the trails meet. We passed the observation tower. It does have its own parking lot if you'd like to drive to it instead of hike. And then as you get lower and closer back to the campground, you definitely feel the cool air coming off of that creek. There's a lot of kids playing near the campground and the amphitheater in the creek just to cool off. Just watch out stepping on these rocky trails because I twisted my ankle a little bit near the end. Now, I am not a mountain biker myself. However, this is a great destination, along with lots of places in Arkansas, for mountain biking. The Northwoods trails are over 31 miles long, and they're accessible from downtown and at 4 different trailheads. The last morning I was there, I walked around the northern part of Central Avenue downtown. I passed the Gangster Museum of America and the Wax Museum. I checked out Bathhouse Row Winery, where they give you free tastings. They have a good mix of dry and sweet wines, and my favorites are the ones with Niagara and Muscadine grapes. When you're hungry, check out the Pancake Shop. I know they were great because they still had a line at 11 o'clock in the morning. And Indulge for crepes, and Eden for brunch and happy hour. If you're in the mood for Mexican, you got to go to Diablo's on the corner. There's also a haunted tour of Hot Springs and the driving tours in the old cable cars. If you're bringing kiddos with you, the Mid-America Science Museum is just to the west of Hot Springs. Magic Springs is a water park just to the east, and the Arkansas Alligator Farm and Petting Zoo is also just to the west. That's all for Hot Springs National Park. What did I miss? What are your favorite parks? I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at the.great.escape.podcast and send me a message. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you can follow along and dream big for your journeys on The Great Escape. See you next time, adventurers.